And greetings, everyone, tonight to Maranatha Live. So glad to have you joining with me this evening on this beautiful, well, I guess it was a beautiful day. It was warmer today it was. But I'm so glad to be joining you back at it tonight. So appreciate my daughter last week who took over for me. And man, what a phenomenal job she did last Wednesday night. I was in Olean last week helping Brother Beatty. Brother Beatty was doing a job and needed some help, and so I left out of here on Monday morning. Got up at 4 a.m., was on the road by 5, drove out there to meet him, worked with him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then left Thursday evening. Got back late Thursday night. Asked my daughter. No one else was available. Not that she was the last resort by any stretch of the imagination. She certainly won't be in the future, I'll tell you that, because she did such a phenomenal job last week. And if you did not hear last week's Maranatha Live, I encourage you to get on our YouTube page or our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and listen to her, because she did a tremendous job last week talking about Deborah, which I'm actually going to pick up on here in a little bit here. But I had a wonderful time with Brother Beatty. He's a great man. And when he calls me and says, "Look, I'm desperate," he does plumbing. He's a master at his craft, and he got backed up on work and was so backed up. And I've told him since he came here, you know my story with Brother Beatty. I'll do anything for him because of what he did for me and saw me through those dark days when my wife had her stroke before God miraculously healed her. He stuck by my side, and I'll do anything for him. So he called me up and asked me if I could help him, and I dropped everything and left early Monday morning and called around. And my daughter was the only one that was going to be available Wednesday night, and she reluctantly, said she would do it. She wasn't happy about it, didn't want to do it, and if she didn't want to do it, she should not have done such a good job, because she is going to be asked to do it again, simply because she was so enjoyable. And so many people commented and just talked about how good she was and interesting she was. She's a natural and she did a great job, and I want to thank her for filling in for me. I'm actually going to pick up tonight on what she was talking about. I'm going to piggyback off of that, actually, because what she was talking about was so phenomenal. But just before I do, let me just give you a couple of quick announcements. Don't forget, this coming Saturday, this is the 13th, Saturday the 13th, we are having our fourth and final men's seminar meeting. That's going to be at 11 o'clock at the church. It will be live streamed. If you absolutely cannot make it, we will be live streaming that. But if you can make it, we encourage you to make it, because we're having a dinner afterwards. We are going to have a dinner for this final one. Our ladies at Maranatha are putting on a dinner for us. They're going to be cooking a turkey dinner. Can you believe it? A turkey. And listen. There are no cooks like Pentecostal women. They can flat cook, and they're going to be putting that on for us. And we look like we're going to have a good turnout. You don't have to be at the seminar to come to the dinner. If you can't make it at 11 for the seminar, all of these seminar teachings are live streamed, and because they're live streamed, they also stay up on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. So you can check them out there if you can't get there for the live event. But even if you can't make it for the live event, you, of course, are welcome to come at noontime for the dinner. And we do need to know, though, so that we have an accurate count. I think they wanted the deadline cut off to be last Sunday to let them know how many were coming. But if you're just hearing this for the first time and you want to jump in, just shoot us a comment on the video, or shoot us why don't you just shoot us a text, or not a text, an email. Just send it to me. Send it to pastor@mmchurch.com. I'll get that and make sure they're up to speed on how many are coming. Looking forward to a great time this Saturday. That starts at 11. The dinner will be at 12. We are finishing up our seminar on, we are going to be talking about dominion over sin. We've had 3 parts so far, 2 back in August, and then our third part was last Saturday. And then this Saturday, we talked about dominion over ourselves. We talked about dominion over Satan. Last Saturday, we talked about dominion over circumstances. And then this coming Saturday, we're going to be talking about dominion over sin. And then our meal afterwards. Also, another special announcement coming up is going to be Wednesday November the 24th, November 24th. That's the Wednesday prior to Thanksgiving. That's the night before Thanksgiving. We're going to be having a communion service held at the church. That's going to be at 7 o'clock. That will not be live streamed. That's in person only. And we will be taking communion. We have COVID-safe communion cups and wafers, all prepackaged, so that no one has handled your juice or your wafer. And we are going to have a wonderful time of the presence of God on Thanksgiving Eve. Thanksgiving is really about giving thanks to God. And we're going to start that off the night before with a Thanksgiving communion service. So everyone is welcome. We have plenty of supplies. Come on and join us for a communion service. That's going to be, again, on the 24th at 7 p.m. All right. So that said, let me get into the teaching tonight just a little bit. I'm not going to be long, but I do want to piggyback off of some things that Sister Shoshana brought up last week. Boy, what a great job she did talking about Deborah. Deborah was one of the judges in the Old Testament, the book of Judges, and a powerful woman, a great woman. And she alluded to Deborah's life that brought her to the place of being a judge, because it was very uncommon for a woman to be in a position like that, especially during the day, during that time. And yet Deborah did rise to that occasion. So I encourage you to go back and listen to her teaching on Deborah, because I'm not going to be, my goal tonight is not to reteach on Deborah, but my goal is to pick up on some things that she alluded to when she talked about how Deborah must have been prior to her coming forth into the scriptures. And I want to talk to you and I tonight. I want to talk to us about the little things that we can do that add up to great victories and add up to great life accomplishments. And they are small things. It's being faithful in the small things that really matter. You know, we see a Deborah or anyone in our generation, in our day, that suddenly is some great person doing some great thing. And it's easy to feel like they fell into it, or it was handed to them, or, you know, they were lucky or they were fortunate. When the truth, and that's the case sometimes that is the case, but for the most part, successful people and being successful yourself is the result of hard work. And it's the result of consistency. It's the result of honor. It's the result of continuing to do the same thing, the right thing, the same way over and over again, without necessarily seeing the benefit or the reward of it right away. Sometimes it takes time for that reward or that benefit to come, but we have to be consistent. We have to be consistent in what is right. We live in some people refer to it as a microwave generation. We'll call it a TikTok generation. How's that? Everything's in a 1-minute video or 60-second or whatever TikTok is, 3 minutes or less. Everything's got to be bang, 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 bang. We got to go on to the next thing. Got to see the next thing. It's our mindset, our frame of thinking is so fast paced that it's. And I know this is true to be myself. Of course, this is my personality type. I have what do they call it? Where you can't stay focused. I don't know what they call it. My mind's racing right now. I can't think of it. But it's hard for me to stay focused on one thing. Well, the way things are now in this world just make it worse for people like me to try to stay focused long term on something. The one thing I've been successful at staying focused on long term has been living for God. Just every day, just serving God, every day reading my Bible, every day praying, every day worship, every day recognizing. I've said it before, I'll say it again. And I hope I'm going to get into my notes, but I came across something the other day, because I've said this before, I've told you this before, that every day I get up and before I even leave the bedroom, I pray, seek God, put my hands in the air, and I quote several scriptures. This is one of them. One of those scriptures is, "This is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." And I've always focused on, this is the Lord's day. He made this day. And my focus has always been on the first part of that scripture. This is the day the Lord hath made. And I read something the other day that it jumped out at me, and all of a sudden it hit me that the second half to that verse is equally or more so important, this, well, I guess not more so important, but equally as important, this is the day the Lord hath made. And then it says, we will rejoice and be glad in it. And how many times do you get your day going, you're started, you're on your way, and wrong things start happening? You find out this went wrong, or this isn't working out, or that hasn't happened, or accident on the way to work, and you're backed up now, and things start fighting you in your day. This is the day the Lord hath made. And then the scripture says, we will rejoice and be glad in it. And I've really started focusing on that part of it, knowing before I even sit down to have a cup of coffee, before I get that far, I am focusing and forcing myself to remember and to acknowledge that this is the day the Lord hath made, number one. But number two, I am going to rejoice in it. And it is going to come against me. Life is going to come against me. I'm not giving the devil credit by any stretch of the imagination, but he is going to come against me, or at least try to take advantage of natural things that come against me. Life is filled with hardship, struggle, battle, resistance, the winds of life blowing against us. But the Bible said, this is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And I've tried to focus recently on that second part. I am going to rejoice. And when things go wrong, I'm going to remember I am rejoicing in this day. It's the day the Lord hath made, with all of its problems, with all of its hardships, all of its struggles, which brings me really to my thought tonight, which is consistency. And consistency, it's being consistent in little things. It's not great victories. It's not great things that happen. It's not great monumentous occasions that get us from one point to another. It's consistency in the little things, just being consistent every day, just consistently doing certain things. Consistency is what eventually brings us to the victory. You don't climb a mountain in one step. You do it by consistently taking one little step after another. And I have climbed mountains, you know that. I've done a lot of hiking with my kids and grandkids, and especially climbing a mountain is difficult because it's really a battle to constantly, one step after another, going uphill. And I remember in particular one mountain I was on, we climbed. It wasn't a major mountain, but beautiful views at the top. But it was a 2-mile hike up. And I remember walking into that trail, and I remember thinking, man, I'm on this trail and it's not going up yet. And I started I must have been about it was a 2-mile hike. I was probably a half mile in when I started getting concerned, because we're not ascending yet. We're still on flat ground here. And do you know it was 1 mile in before the sign said the peak or whatever it was 1 mile ahead? And I thought, the peak is a mile. And I knew what the elevation was. And we hadn't ascended very much at all yet. And I knew what I was in for. I was in for a battle this last mile, and I was not wrong. The first mile was almost flat. The second mile was almost straight up. And I'm using that as an example because you had to just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Just keep putting the next foot in front of the other. And when you looked up, you can't see the top. You can't see the summit. You just, all you see is more climbing, more hardship. But you had to consistently put that foot in front of the next one, just consistently doing it. And it wasn't until you were almost just a stone's throw from the top that suddenly you took the next step and you could see the horizon. You could see the top of the mountain. And suddenly, and then of course you get the burst of energy to finish the trail. But before that, you just had to consistently keep putting one foot in front. And that's the way life is sometimes. You can't necessarily see your victory You got to keep being consistent. And I want to consistently rejoice and be glad in life. And I'm saying that when I refer back to my daughter's lesson last week, Deborah had to be consistent to suddenly be the judge of Israel. She didn't wake up one day and have some, hey, why don't you be the judge? Why don't you take over? She consistently did certain things that earned her respect, that earned her honor. She consistently behind the scenes did what was right, did what was honorable, until finally the Bible takes over and starts talking about her life and her accomplishments. That didn't just happen overnight. It happened because she consistently did what she was supposed to be doing. So consistency is a very powerful thing. And we live in this world where everything happens now. Bang, 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 bang. Facebook, TikTok, even YouTube's now got those YouTube shorts, I think they call them. Why? Because people can't even watch a 15-minute video. I wonder how many people, if I don't keep us interested, how many people can listen to this whole thing? Everything's got to be so fast, fast, fast. Maybe we ought to start doing a Maranatha minute. Maybe that's what we got to do. Why? Because it's hard to be consistent in the little things, but living for God, we got to be consistent in the little things. I read this today, and let me read it to you, and then I'm going to tell you what I did when I read it. All right. It said this. Picture this. What would you pick if you had a choice between these two items? You can have $1 million right now. $1 million, bam, right now. Or you can have $4 today, and it will double itself every day for the rest of this month. What would you pick? $4 that doubles itself every day for the rest of this month, or $1 million right now? Chances are, if we didn't give it much thought, well, I'll take the $1 million. I mean, it's $1 million right now. But listen carefully to this, okay? All right, let me just tell you what it turns out to be, okay? If you take the $4 that doubles itself every day, do you know what you end up with on day 30? This is on a 30-day month, all right? On day 30, you end up with, you ready? 2 trillion. I did not say billion, and I did not say million. I said trillion. 2,147,000,000. Oh, I'm sorry, not trillion, billion. My mistake. 2,147,483,648 by getting $4 and doubling it every day for 30 days. 2,147,483,648. Now, I looked at that number and I thought, no way. $4 for 30 days, doubling itself, comes out to $2 billion. No way. So, being how I am, I got my calculator, which is on my keyboard here, and I started going 4 times 2, and I started counting off the days. Was 8 times 2, 16 times 2 times 2 times 2, and I did that 30 times, and it came out to exactly that number. $2,147,483,648. And I did a 31-day month. Well, guess what 2 billion turns into? 4 billion if you have a 31-day month. By being consistent, instead of wanting everything right now, by just starting off with small amounts consistently, over and over and over and over. Prayer. I could never pray a whole hour every day. What if you prayed 1 minute every day? And I hope you pray more than a minute, but I'm just using this as an example, okay? 1 minute every day. So you got your choice. I can't pray an hour a day. So what do? You don't pray, okay? What if you just prayed 1 minute every day? At the end of 1 month, you'd have 30 minutes. You'd have a half-hour prayer. What if you prayed 2 minutes a day? At the end of the month, you'd have an hour prayer. An hour prayer. Isn't an hour prayer at the end of the month better than no prayer because you couldn't do a whole hour in one day? You see what I'm saying? Small pieces, small segments. You can't do what someone else does. Do what you can do, but do it consistently. Do it consistent. If you can, and I encourage you to pray more than a minute a day. But if you don't pray at all, start with a minute, but do it every day. Be consistent with it. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. I guarantee you by day 30, you're not praying 1 minute. I guarantee you, you are not just praying 1 minute. I guarantee you, if you determine right now, if you struggle with prayer, let's say you struggle, and it could be anything, but let's say you struggle with prayer. 1 minute. Can you pray for what? Can you pray for 60 seconds? Sure you can. So start it and say, every day I'm going to pray for 60 seconds. I can guarantee you at the end of the first month, you're going to be praying more than 60 seconds because thoughts are going to, it'll turn into more. It'll turn into more. I tell people that with tithing. Yes, we should tithe. In fact, there's a phenomenal lesson on giving and tithing that Brother Bernard did on their YouTube page. I'm it's good for us to be givers, but I tell people all the time, tithing is 10%. You give 10% of all your increase back to God is what tithing is. We honor God with the first fruits of our increase in the tithe. I have told you make let's say you make I don't know $1,000 a week. All right, well, $100, man. I don't know if I can give $100. Give 10. It's not a tithe, but it's a start. Start giving consistently 10. And watch. Won't be long. You'll be. I can do 15. It won't be long before you'll be tithing. But you got to start somewhere. And so and consistently, you just don't get anywhere without consistency. And my old pastor used to say all the time, "Oh, consistency, thou art a jewel." Just start doing it regularly, consistently. Do it consistently. Make yourself be consistent. And if you can't be consistent in the big thing, be consistent in the small thing and watch that small thing grow. And become a Deborah. Become a David. Become a great individual who are not always great. We don't hear about Deborah's name until she's great. What was she doing before she was great? Guarantee you she was consistently doing things for God. Guarantee you she was. What was David doing before he was King David? He was consistently singing, worshiping, praising God, all by himself out in the field with the sheep. Consistently. Be consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent to church. Church is only an hour, maybe a little long, maybe a few minutes longer. If who knows? Get up and go. Consist once a week. Get up and go. Show up at the house of God consistently. I don't feel like going to church. Consistency is where it's at. All right. So I just wanted to pick that up off of what Shoshana did last week. And again, I want to tell you, if you haven't heard Shoshana's message last week, I certainly hope that you will listen to it because it was phenomenal. Her lesson last week. So let me just close this by saying a world-renowned human capital expert said, if a person reads for 1 hour daily about a particular subject or field for 5 years, that person will invariably become a professional in that field. That's interesting, huh? If a person will read 1 hour a day about a particular subject, in 5 years, he will be a professional in that field. Because you don't just wake up one day and you're a professional. You did something consistently. And here's another little thing I just want to read, and I'll wrap it up with this right here. Leave a tap to keep releasing 1 drop of water every 4 seconds and put a bucket underneath. What's a drop of water? Who cares about a drop of water? The bucket will be filled in time from 1 drop. 1 drop, that bucket. You need a bucket of water. 1 drop at a time will fill that bucket. 1 little start in your life will transform you. transform you. You can transform your home. You can transform your life. You can transform your world. You can transform it, not by waking up one day and doing some great major thing. You can transform it by starting tomorrow to do one little thing every day. You can't read it. You can't read 3 chapters in your Bible. Read one. Can't read one chapter. Read a verse. Can't pray for an hour. Pray for a half hour. Can't pray 30 minutes. Pray 1 minute. But do it every day and begin to see transformation happen in your life. You're not saving up, what was it, $1 a day? $4? You're not doubling $4 a day. You're doubling spiritual reward in heaven that cannot be numbered. Amen. God bless you. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope this was a blessing to you. Consistency. Start small, keep doing it, and watch it grow. I hope I'll see you this Sunday in church. Don't forget, we have 8:30 service or 10:30 service, both services. We preach the same message at both services. You're welcome to come. If you absolutely cannot make it, we're on YouTube. We are live streaming on YouTube and our Facebook page. That is only for when you can't make it. We want you in church. We need to see one another, talk to one another, connect with one another spiritually. All right. So God bless you. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I look forward to seeing you this Sunday.